The attack yesterday on Yarova, Russia continuing attacks on Ukraine's citizens in the Donetsk region. On Tuesday morning, elderly citizens queued to collect their pensions from the Ukroshta postal van. At the very moment a Russian guided bomb struck, 24 people were killed, 19 injured. Most of the dead were pensioners. The bomb also destroyed the postal service vehicle, a symbol of the state's care for its citizens turned into a weaponized target. President Zelensky called it indescribable, and he's right. And we must try, nevertheless, to describe it. This was not a battlefield clash. It was an attack on civilians at their most vulnerable. In Donetsk, this is the region that President Putin wants to claim as his own and wants to look after the people there. How? By bombing them, by killing pensioners. It adds to a grim tally. In late August 23, people died in overnight strikes on Kyiv. Over the weekend, Russia launched its biggest air assault on the capital, striking government buildings with the aim, Zelensky said, of prolonging the war through terror. Russia calls these operations special military actions, but what is happening is deliberate targeting of non-combatants. The UN's humanitarian envoy in Ukraine, Matthias Schmaler, condemned the attack as unconscionable. The WHO reports that ambulances and hospitals are under constant fire, with 1 in 4 strikes now targeting emergency vehicles. This is the symbolic use of violence against civilian infrastructure, water, power, healthcare, pensions, in an attempt to break Ukrainian morale. It's also intensifying. Over 800 drones and missiles were used in a single assault on Kyiv recently. Russia's war planners are not looking for quick battlefield victories. They are seeking to grind down society itself. Yarova sits on a strategic railway line between Lyman and Izium, just 6 kilometers from Russian positions. Local officials say pensions will now have to be distributed further away because the front line is simply too close. But for many elderly Ukrainians, evacuation is no option. They want to die in their homes, not as refugees. That stubborn dignity and vulnerability is precisely what Russia is exploiting. The attack comes as Russia intensifies pressures not only on Ukraine but also on NATO's borders. Overnight, the drones violated Polish airspace, forcing Poland to scramble jets and shut down its main airport. For the first time in this war, a NATO member has shot down Russian drones. Warsaw has called it an act of aggression. NATO's credibility is now under test. Will it stand firm when its own skies are breached? Zelensky insists the world must not remain silent, yet Western unity is strained. President Trump, fresh from his Alaska summit with Putin, appears more eager to show he can talk to Moscow than to protect Kyiv. Europe condemns the attacks, but condemnation alone doesn't stop guided bombs. 3 themes are emerging. 1, this humanitarian catastrophe which continues. Ordinary people killed for collecting pensions, patients denied ambulances, millions facing another winter without secure energy or healthcare. 2, the military escalation. Russia accelerates its production of precision missiles and drones while Ukraine responds with its own long-range strikes, including strikes in Sochi and Crimea. And 3, the political testing, the global testing. Putin is probing NATO's resolve, daring the alliance to respond to violations of its territory. Maybe because this is the only direction that Putin can go to extend the war in order to retain his own power, the power of his own little group in the Kremlin. If the war fails, which it will, Putin is doomed, and Putin's group is doomed. He knows that. They know that. This is not merely a Ukrainian tragedy. It is a test of international law, of the UN's relevance, of NATO's deterrence, and of the world's conscience. The victims of Yarova remind us that this war is not fought only by soldiers in trenches, but by pensioners, doctors, children who never signed up for it. If Russia can bomb people queuing for their pensions with impunity, then international norms mean nothing. The response cannot be silence or fatigue. The response must be action, increased support, tougher sanctions, and a refusal to normalize Russia's war of annihilation.